Apparently, there is a special operations loop in this. I didn't know that. Well, I don't know anything that's in this. Commander Rai has requested a squadron leader to accompany her on a theater-critical operation. This mission requires a pilot with an intelligence unit background. The pilot will be witness to extended exchanges of highly sensitive information. Unfortunately, this operation will cut into your leave time. Accept or refuse. Well, heck if I'm gonna refuse. So, we are going into the, I believe, 15th mission of... 15th and first optional mission of Slaves to Chaos. The Armageddon Clock.
Thank you for accepting, pilot. As you know, Antares Federation forces have secured Ambassador Khonsu II from the HOL.
I didn't know that.
Greenbark II, a deep cover source in the AF government, has signaled for an intra-system rendezvous to report on this latest development. Greenbark indicates he has information on Ozymandias' next move. We are due to meet our source in 2 hours.
Bombers.
I'll be flying as your radio intercept officer. Pennywise and Shuggoth from the 79th will have our wing. Greenbark indicates we will want a larger task force for an intra-system jump later on, which Captain Cernu is currently organizing. I expect this to be strictly a fact-finding excursion, but you and your wingmate's selection for this job should convey the criticality of the situation. Ozymandias has the initiative, and we need every scrap of information we can get to fight him.
Yes, we very much do. Rendezvous with Greenbark 2 to collect intel. Why am I flying as Zeus? Probably because it's a two-seater. Alright. Well, what do we got? Subak HL7 and a disruptor cannon. Siren, and Hornet Swarm missile. So a bomber with no bombs. An interesting choice, but we'll go with the default for now. Let's commit.
Greenbark 2, this is Alpha 1, GTD Intrepid. Beginning authentication sequence.
It's confirmed. Alpha 1 set communications to roving encryption band LF29 and stand by for long transmit.
Voice transcription? Is that really necessary, Greenbark 2?
Actually, I'm trying to type on these damn MFDs. Voice transcription picks up speech patterns that can be recognizable.
Communications set, Greenbark. Proceed with traffic.
We've debriefed Khonsu, and you need to know his rescue is probably authorized by Ozymandias himself. If the Antares Federation hadn't denounced the GTA, Khonsu would likely be dead by now.
Ozymandias took some extraordinary risks to capture Khonsu II, only to let him go. Are you saying Khonsu was released just to erode our position in Antares?
Yes, but that's trivial compared to what Khonsu was asked in captivity. Ozymandias wanted to know about something called Ahimayet. Are you familiar with it or Ophosis, Alpha 1?
Negative on both, Greenbark.
This goes all the way back to the Vega engagement. Right after the Eisenhower went down, 4th Fleet bombed dirt-side Vasudan targets on Vega 3. One of the follow-up teams found an artifact uncovered by a blast crater. It wasn't until the Great War that GTI realized they'd picked up something from the Ancients. Oh boy. It turns out it was a ship, codenamed Ophosis. GTI couldn't get it running until 2335 when they slapped a Shivan power supply inside. It was then that they learned Ophosis was equipped with an advanced subspace warning system, more capable than anything Terrans or Vasudans had developed yet. Ophosis was highly sensitive to subspace disturbances. It could detect eddies and currents in subspace our best science cruisers can't. A sort of Shivan early warning system. Ophosis being in Terran hands was a political time bomb, so Command kept the project under wraps for the whole war.
Then how did Ozymandias learn about it?
Ozymandias was there on Vega 3 during the bombing, crashed during the battle. It's in one of his screeds. He goes on about how we're a bunch of thieves and tomb raiders. He neglects to mention Ophosis specifically, but details from his account check out with classified GTI reports. He's probably been obsessed with this thing ever since.
Do we know why Ozymandias wants it?
Maybe to deny it to you? Along with the Altair records, research from Ophosis helped the Bastion squadrons get the Lucifer, and spawned the whole Sutrak branch. Whatever we learn from Ophosis could theoretically help us against the Shivans if they came back. It could provide a tactical advantage to whoever possesses it. Your guess is as good as mine, Alpha 1.
The Gavel debrief strongly suggests Ozymandias is already in possession of this Ophosis. Why is he still in Antares?
After the fall of Vasuda Prime, Command intensified research efforts on Ophosis. Antares was already behind the Lucifer's vanguard at that point. GTI decided to move Ophosis and its associated research materials to this system. Have you heard of the Masada Redoubt, Alpha 1? I mean, I know the historical Masada, but I doubt that's what he's talking about.
I know it was some sort of contingency plan concocted by Sol. Last bastions for Terran resistance should Earth fall.
You sound like a salesman for the military-industrial complex, but you're correct. One of those bastions was positioned in the Heraklion Corridor, the zero-G Lagrangian point between Antares and her secondary. Plotting subspace jumps in and out of the corridor has always been problematic. Oh. I knew that was on the map for a reason. Command began fortifying the corridor, and the Masada Redoubt there was expecting Ophosis. 7 days before loss of contact, GTI tried moving Ophosis directly from Vega to Antares through the unstable node, but the Shivans intercepted the convoy. Ophosis was presumed destroyed. After RS Gavel and his compatriots raided Gulnara Research, we started to wonder if Ophosis wasn't lost during the war after all. Someone, I'm still not sure who, called in strikes on Gavel and the cargo container they took from Gulnara Research. Our pilots who returned asserted high probability kill on the container, but the casualty rate incurred in the pursuit discouraged a more in-depth probe. There's always doubt that Ophosis was gone for good. The Gavel debrief just inflamed our concerns.
Is it possible Ozymandias didn't get what he wanted from Gavel after all?
It's possible, but Gavel said the Hammer of Light held up their end of the deal after the exchange in Alpha Centauri. Right now, we think Ozymandias doesn't know how to use Ophosis, and is looking to shortcut his own research efforts. The Ophosis files mention something called Ahamate. We think this was the Vasudan element of the Ophosis research, which was extremely limited for political reasons. If Ahamate survived the same Shivan attack that should have claimed Ophosis, it may have reached Masada's station. More importantly, Gulnara's debriefing of Khonsu II suggests Ozymandias knows this as well. Ozymandias was probably made aware of Ahamate through the HOL's spies. We believe this motivated his kidnapping of Khonsu II.
So his capture of Khonsu wasn't just to flip the frontier?
No, Khonsu said Ozymandias inquired about Ahamate by name. It's from Khonsu that we know Ozymandias is aware of Masada, but not its location. Khonsu said Ozymandias let us rescue him purely to discredit the GTA and empower the Antares Federation. Ozymandias is banking on the Antares Federation running interference for him while he finishes his search for Masada. Of course. But the frontier is important to his plans. He only has the same rumors about Masada to go on that you did, but he's heard the redoubt is heavily defended. Ozymandias was always going to bring in a second destroyer to hit Masada, but your deployment to Antares forced him to move his timetable up. The Intrepid's presence means he can't scour the system for Masada or invest in a long-term siege. He knows he has to move on Masada as soon as he finds it, or risk losing Masada and Ahame to you.
How long until he finds the Masada readout?
Gulnara is going to cave to his demands for access to our databases. Masada Station isn't officially listed, but in the intelligence world, what's not said can be just as important as what is said. By cross-referencing survey data, war records, and historical archives, it's only a matter of time. Gulnara knows the Hammer of Light's ideology, right? Okay, whatever. I'm transmitting GTI's old routes into the Heraklion corridor now, along with Saul's plans for Masada Redoubt. Alpha 1, I'm sure I don't have to point out this may be exactly what Ozymandias was hoping for. By releasing Khonsu, Ozzy had to know we'd discern his goals sooner or later. Ozzy could be waiting for you to lead him right through Masada's gates.
Understood, Greenbark. But, like you said, it's only a matter of time before he finds Masada anyway. We need to get to it first.
In that case, I hope you beat Ozzy to the punch, Alpha 1. Stay safe.
Likewise, Greenbark. Alpha 1, out.
Fascinating.
Astrogation is showing a viable jump window into the Heraklion corridor for the next 15 minutes. Alpha 3, report back to the Intrepid. Captain Cernu's task force will be following us in.
Yes, sir. Departing now.
Designated coordinates locked in. Pilots, engage subspace drives.
Oh boy. Is that it?
Zero movement out to 5 kilometers. Picking up several faint power signatures in the vicinity. TLW is buzzing with the low threat level and background radiation is causing interference. Alpha 1, be advised. Active server sentry guns detected. Coordinates forwarded.
Confirmed. Picking up zero comm activity. This space would have been garrisoned with GTI personnel. The rebellion might be over, but that doesn't mean everyone is on the same page. Keep those shields at full. We'll fire, but only if fired on first. Pilots, begin approach for Masada control. Some of these ships might have pingback functions left on. Scan any intact networks you come across if you get the chance.
Okay, so that's not a scannable object. The fighters, I mean. The Loki is, but those bombers weren't. But this freighter's not, for some reason. Okay, so I have... Scan Masada Control. That must be Masada Control. Oh. Screw it. Anyway.
Hopefully we can minimize damage to infrastructure. This place would make for prime defensive real estate if we can hold it. What do you pilots make of those 6 platforms ringed around the control center at about a 5-kilometer radius?
Judging by their positions, they might be part of a defense parameter. Hard to say without a scan. Permission to break off and investigate, sir?
Negative, pilot. Stay on course for Masada control. We'll leave those auxiliary stations to Cernu's teams.
GTI Endymion. light shields are at full. This sentry gun took more out of my hull than I realized at first.
Colonel Nakumura, is that you?
Oh.
Masada Station, we are receiving. This is Commander Rai, Commanding Officer GTD Intrepid.
Forgive me, Commander. Terrans can sound alike over a translator.
Forgiven, Masada. We were expecting to meet a Terran contingent.
Most of your kind wiped themselves out here long ago. As far as I can tell, I am the lone survivor in this decaying outpost. More people refer to me as a Hamate.
Not Himayat, we're the first wave of a Terran relief force headed into the Iraklion. Your government will be pleased to know you've survived this long. We'll get you out of there as soon as our friends are here.
Thank you, Commander. I've had no company but my thoughts during my sentence here.
Himayat, we have reason to believe you're a priority target for the Hammer of Light insurgents. You and your work here could be invaluable to their war effort if either were to fall into their hands.
I understand. Some of the last information we received from the outside said you were victorious in saving your homeworld, partly thanks to our efforts on the ancient ship.
Affirmative, Himayat. Unfortunately, we think the HOL is in possession of that ancient ship now. Their commander, Ozymandias, has been ruthless in tracking you down.
Ozymandias. Last I heard, he was a fast-rising star among the fanatics. No doubt he expects acquiring me with this base to consolidate his power base.
We have no intention of letting him get that far. Bophosis might be lost to us, but only because it's going down with Ozymandias.
Ozymandias only wants what we learned about Bophosis, what drove everyone here to violence so long ago.
Your research was responsible for all this. The abandoned stations, the burnt-out fighters.
In a way, your GTI could not agree on what to do with our discovery, so they fought over it. Our discovery has its genesis in the work you Terrans did on Bophosis before it was lost. It was an automated scout craft, capable of anticipating Shivan incursions and reporting back to its masters. The Ancients gifted the ship with stealth and self-preservation systems the research team was never able to completely reverse engineer. The result was Bophosis. At the twilight of their race, we think the Ancients were given unprecedented insight into the timing of Shivan attacks. Our research implies the Ancients used their own captured Shivan technology when building Bophosis.
Are we saying that Bophosis can see into the future?
Bophosis was capable of multi-dimensional subspace analytics and pattern recognition that enabled it to predict an impending Shivan attack, not just in a technical sense, but on a system-sweeping, Great War invasion scale. We were able to dissect the Ancients' technology and recover their method for anticipating Shivan subspace activity. The model we adapted fits the known dates of Shivan attacks, including Ross 128, and the Ancients before that. What kind of effect would that knowledge have on our populations, Commander? Knowing when the Shivans will return, perhaps to finish what they started. Who's to say we will be as successful against them in the future? Ozymandias would be in a position of unassailable power among the Sudans if he could prove the date of the Armageddon. He would be at the head of a spiritual coup. And I suspect the implications for your species would not be much brighter if this information were made public.
Were your findings ever reported to anyone on the outside?
A lone flight left the outpost not long after our discovery. Where it went and who it talked to, I do not know. When it returned a few days later, the fighting here started. Colonel Nakumura was the last person here to successfully escape the corridor. He said he would bring help. That was 343 days ago.
Less than a
3
year.
or 4 others escaped the violence before that, when they could, including one of my colleagues. He was to report our findings to a trusted ambassador in the royal court.
Khonsu II?
Yes. How does the ambassador fare?
He lives. Barely. He was rescued from the HOL about 36 hours ago.
If my colleague was successful, Khonsu would have known we had a theory, a method, for dating the next Shivan attack. Khonsu would not know the specifics.
Then you have an actual date? When is the next invasion supposed to occur?
Jump signatures detected. 3 Terran fighter wings plus 3 transports.
Omega 1 to Alpha Wing. Transit successful. All craft accounted for. What's your status?
Primary objective accomplished, Omega 1. Your mission is go.
Acknowledged, Alpha 1. Be advised. Weather report shows your current jump window is closing. Next window expected in 5 hours.
Oh boy.
Copy that. Epsilon will detach from your group and escort my wing back to the Intrepid. Pilot, get us moving to that node. Full burners. Not Himayat, my people are moving in to pick you up. We will be back with more help as soon as we can.
I can wait a little longer. The long story of our cosmic struggle. A few more minutes won't make a difference.
Watch Ozymandias come through that gate right as we're getting to it. Oh, that'd be Epsilon. What are y'all doing? I'm not in any danger. Why are you shooting stuff?
The information we received today is as valuable as it is disturbing. If Ozymandias was able to convince others he knew when the Shivans were to return, his following would swell. The Vasudans were vulnerable to the dangers of superstitious thinking even before the fall of Vasuda Prime. Proof of another Shivan attack could push both our species over the edge. The Hammer of Light would be able to press their doomsday ideology into all walks of Vasudan society, and the insurgency would metastasize to unmanageable proportions. We will be reformulating our strategy based on this latest intelligence. All information you were privy to in the course of this mission is classified Level Rho. A second task force is moving into the corridor as we speak to refortify Masada Redoubt. I cannot speak for the veracity of Ahamayat's claims or his research, but nothing is certain. And even if they do know if and when we will face the Shivans again, down to the second, it doesn't change our dire situation in Antares. We've got work to do here.
We most certainly do. Alright. Well, we'll be back for the next mission.